Bates Motel Season 4, Episode 6, The Vault. Now, this was definitely a good episode. I think, coming off of the last one, I was really looking forward to seeing what we'd get from Norman, and I think we got some really crazy stuff. I mean, the things he remembered, even though he remembered them as Norma instead of as himself, I loved that scene. It was really crazy. It was very, very dark, obviously. But I liked that. I was like, that's actually really good. And we see his father come back, and we see how his father was when he was younger, and excuse me, we get this story from Norma's perspective, but obviously it's because Norman actually remembers that stuff, and it's a really crazy way of his brain kind of helping him repress those memories. Because I, if I remember right, because obviously this is super late, um, if I remember right, he never really, they don't really go back to just Norman and he deals with it or anything. It's just like Norman doesn't remember that when he's Norman, but when he is his mother, that's when all that stuff, those repressed memories come back, and he remembers these moments of his mother trying to take him away, and his father capturing them, basically, trying to escape, and then he actually rapes his mother, and he's under the bed, and he holds onto her hand, and it's just like, man, that is an insanely dark thing to have in your head and remember. And it was just, it's an odd, obvious sort of thing like that. It just makes sense that he'd have that sort of issue with his father and have that sort of horrible memory in his head, and it was just very crazy. And I love that. I thought it was really good how they played that, and just kind of how it's him remembering it, of course, but not as himself, so he's keeping these really dark memories repressed. But it's kind of, I don't know if it's officially going to lead to, oh yeah, Norman was the one that did it and not me. I don't know if it'll lead to that in the next episode, but it seems like that would be a possible conclusion. I doubt it, because once again, I always say this, like, whenever something crazy comes up, it's like, I doubt this will happen, because it still has to lead into the movie. But I don't know. I mean, there's so much stuff in the show. They could change certain things if they wanted to, and or maybe they don't change it, and it still manages somehow to lead into the film. Like, maybe they just say, like, well, it was self-defense or something like that, despite what he said. It's like, well, it's still from a crazy perspective, like he's remembering it as his mother, stuff like that. So it's like grain of salt sort of thing. Maybe it would still come to that point, but it's just been really crazy watching his kind of transition as he's been in here, and I can't wait to see kind of where they keep going with that. But that was very interesting to watch. Him having these flashbacks and him remembering all this horrible stuff, like this really horrible moment, but mostly as Norma. I believe there was, like, when they first kind of brought his dad into the flashback portions of the episode, the first was really just him remembering his dad, like, being at the table when he was, like, passed out or something, and I believe he said he remembered, like, being scared or something like that. But then the really bad memory was still Norma. It wasn't Norman as himself, because that's when Norma showed up. Like, you shouldn't talk about this. Basically, because it was his subconscious, like, hey, that really sucked. You shouldn't talk about that, or remember it. So, very interesting how that's playing out for him. And of course, I can't wait to see how all that stuff plays out. But that was really good. Then we have kind of the big reveal for Norma when she finds out exactly what's going on. She just wanted a window, and she finds out all this craziness, and she's somewhat threatened, and then she threatens the guy's life. I totally forgot his name because I suck at remembering names. Chick, I want to say. I hope that's right. But she tries. She points the gun at him on the bridge. I was really surprised that was him. Actually, I thought for sure, and once again, trailers, they always do this. I thought for sure that was her talking to Norman, because that's how they kept playing it in the trailer. But it was her talking to the chick, and she points the gun at him and everything, but she just can't do it. And ultimately, she does kind of end up helping him. It's like, hey, well, she finds out where he is, where Caleb is, at least. So I don't know. I don't know how that's really going to play out. I'm assuming that he's going to show up in this next episode, which I'll have to check out for hopefully very soon. But it was very interesting. It's like, she was kind of just done with it. She got her window, and it's just like, all right, so I got the window, and she has that crazy outburst in front of Romero, and he's like, all right, Norma, I'll see you later. Here, you can send me this check in the mail. And it's like, okay, something's happening. We should probably talk about this. And Romero was super cool about it. He was like that crazy, not normal situation that you hear all the time, but it was just like, all right, we're still married. It's still us. So that was a cool moment from his character. Although he had, I don't even know. I feel like it was a dumb moment, but it's really hard to tell because I don't know what he was thinking with the key stuff. And he's like, here you go, and he gives her the key. I know he did it to help her because, poof, if I remember right, like $30 million, something crazy, easy trail. And the FBI, if I remember right, forgetting a lot of like little facts and stuff, but them looking into that, if they found it very easy, because they were already looking at her anyway, so it's like, we're already looking at you for laundering. Here's this money that's just sitting here because he's gone, and the guy's gone in the wind. So I understand he did it to help her, and it will help her. She gets the money out as long as she doesn't get busted, which I'm assuming she won't. But it's also this show, so it's not going to be like, oh, she got the money out and everything's fine, and her sending the people to the house and everything. If that wasn't just her by herself, I'm assuming she sent some people. Um, I just don't know what to think about that. It's like, okay, he already said he didn't have the key. And I guess, the whole them ransacking the house is kind of really why he did it, but it does also help her out. And possibly, kind of gets things off of his back as well, because not only them searching the house and everything, but as I mentioned before, she could just throw out there like, he totally killed the guy, which he did, which she doesn't know for a fact. But if they start looking into that, there's not much evidence, I don't believe, really. But technically, if she just threw that out there, it would screw him over because that's actually the truth. So I think that's another little factor. Like, well, if anyone kind of throws that at me at random, technically it's an issue because I did do it for real. So even if they don't have any proof, if I start getting investigated, they could find out the truth. I feel like it would be insanely hard for anyone to do that because he, kills the guy on the dock unless there's someone on the dock at random, which in most TV shows that's always the case. There was somebody around that we never saw. But I don't know. I don't know what to think about that scene. Like when it first happened, I was like, I feel like that's a terrible idea to give her the key. But I mean, we'll just have to see what happens. I would assume she wouldn't keep all the money for herself because she was talking about them splitting it anyway. So that's another thing. Like if she'll keep it on her, because if they search her house, she can't have $30 million or even $1 million. It's like, oh, you randomly have $1 million. That's really suspicious. Even if it was not even up to $1 million, you can have $10,000 just in cash. It's suspicious when you're investigated for money laundering. So she can't just have the money on her. So there has to be something she can't put in a bank, obviously, for very obvious reasons. That's even easier to track. Just look into something and, oh, there's $1 million there all of a sudden. So she has to be insanely careful, but I doubt she's just gonna toss $30 million. Just it's gone now. Like she's probably gonna have it, and I just feel like it's gonna backfire. Mostly because this is the show. It's gonna backfire, but it's gonna lead somewhere. I don't know where, but it's gonna be really crazy, and I don't know what to think about that. But certainly enjoyed it. I was like, this. I don't know if this is. I think it's a stupid idea, but I certainly can't wait to see where they take it because it's gonna be bad. But that was really good too, and Norma kind of dealing with her whole thing, and Caleb most likely coming back into town, I'm assuming. Um, so that should be something, and he calls Dylan and everything. And Dylan had a great episode, and this one, he has his moments. They have once again the relationship stuff with he and Emma is really good, and they actually have sex for the first time, which is interesting. They talk about a lot of stuff and her scars, and he talks about his scars, and they really really bond in this episode. But then they had a really great scene where he's talking about leaving and he's like packing up and things, and he finds the letter from her mother. And if I remember right, it was in Norman's room. And when it first showed up, I was like, I was a little confused. I'm like, was this letter to Emma? Because it had her name on it. I totally forgot that it was her mom's letter until it got to the end. I was like, oh, right, because her mom had a letter. I was thinking it was like a letter Norman wrote a long time ago, and he was just finding it and reading, like, how Norman might be confessing his love or whatever. And I was like, oh, that's the letter her mother had. And now, poof, she's gone. She was at the house and she wasn't there, and somehow this letter's inside the house. And I can only imagine what that's going to lead to, because this is probably, with the next season being the last season, there are a lot of questions as to how they're going to do certain things. Because I feel like this could totally be a way to kind of wrap the season, or the series really. But at the same time, once again, I always think it has to lead to the house, so it can't be that they think Norman actually killed Emma's mom. Like, it just can't come up that way. But there's the huge question: what is he gonna do with this info now? He found this letter. He knows, he saw Emma's mom when they were at the hospital, so he knows that she was trying to talk to Emma. Emma's dad kind of kicked her to the curb, like, get the heck out of here. You left a long time ago. You don't get to come back now. So, it's just a lot of questions. Like, what's he going to do with the info? What's going to happen? Even if he just simply investigates and he talks to Norma, it's like, something happened. Why is this letter here if you never took it? What's going on? So, I can't wait to see how all that plays out either. The stuff with Caleb, I just don't even know what to think about that. It can't be good. It's never good. If he's coming back, it's not going to be good. I don't know if he's going to die or if he's going to kill that guy or someone else might get killed. I think that's still possibly an option, even though the guy seemed fairly content after Norma kind of stood up to him. It's still a big question. I don't know. There's a lot of madness, I think, coming pretty soon for this season. But I definitely want to know what you guys thought about this one. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And there are so many crazy questions, because there's like this stuff with Romero, this stuff with Caleb coming back, what's Dylan going to do. So I guess the big thing is, what do you think will happen in those three situations? Because we have Dylan with this information that's very crucial, that is suspicious to see clearly, inside the house in general, but specifically in Norman's room. So, what's he gonna do? What's gonna happen with Caleb? I just assume one of them is gonna die. I don't know if Caleb's gonna die or if it's gonna be Chick, but I don't see both of them surviving their next encounter. And Chick might be wounded, but his hands aren't, and you can pull a trigger very easy. So I think one of them is going to die. I think that's the logical thing. And then as far as the stuff with Romero, I just don't even know what to expect. I don't know if they're going to get rid of him by the end of this season. Like, he'll get busted for the laundering or possibly get busted for the murder. But I definitely want to know your expectations. Like, how is all this craziness going to play out? So please comment below. Let me know. And thanks for watching.